works. We'll see. What I'm trying to do is, I've been on break for like 2 weeks, and I think I forgot anything I never knew about teaching. So, but in the spring, what I do is I live stream the courses. It gets uploaded to, it should be, if it's all working, which I'm not sure it is right now, it gets uploaded to my YouTube account. And so after class, you can go back and review it. Also, it's a way of attending class when you can't be here. You'll be able to see what went on. And so I had one student contact me that her sister's graduating. Maybe that's too much personal information for you. But anyway, I think that was an appropriate reason not to be in class today. But she contacted me early, and I said, I'll be live streaming. And so hopefully you can kind of keep track of what's going on in class. The benefit, and I've told this to other colleagues of mine, they said, well, you do that, nobody's going to show up for class. And I said, well, yeah, half of you might not show up, but half of you probably wouldn't show up anyway, even if I didn't do this. But what I do is, it's a way of attending class. I have to check to make sure the computer lab, we have a couple computer labs, because as we go through the course, you'll see our homework's all, and maybe you've already pulled it up, but we're using WebAssign. It's my first time using it. I've tutored a few students who've used it, so I'm slightly familiar with it, but I'll be learning as you do. So if there's things that don't seem right, just let me know, because they might not be right, you know, because I want the homework stuff to be times that you can just kind of practice until you get it right. What I'm going to do is reserve one of the other computer rooms for us, because the way I do is we'll go through sort of a lecture, an overview of everything, but that's, you know, I have to stretch it really long to go 2 hours and 40 minutes, and you don't want me to do that because I have to talk like this. No, we won't do that. So we'll do about in an hour time, 50 minutes, whatever it takes. We'll kind of present the concepts, and then for those who want to, we'll go down to a computer lab. You can log in and start getting your homework done. As you have questions on it, I'll be there, because so it's going to be interactive. Your colleagues here will be there. Some of you will take off to Starbucks and do it there. That's fine. But what I want to do is I want to have a resource time that we are together. And basically we do about 2 chapters. We'll look at that, about 2 sets of homework, 2 sections per class meeting, which seems like a lot, but I looked at them. I didn't set up I just had another faculty member who's done this before, because it's been about 5 or 6 years since I taught this class. So she set it up for me with what she does, and some of them, there's like 5 homework problems. And I looked at them, they tell you about how average it takes, but we'll see. Again, you're learning the first time, and you know, so maybe 15, 20 problems per evening. What you don't get done, you got more time to get it done and practice. But we want to focus on understanding the concepts well enough. What else? Any other questions? Well, any questions? We doing okay so far? Nobody's left, so I haven't offended anybody yet. Probably for the evening I'll offend somebody, I'm sure. But okay, my throat's real dry too. Let's see. I didn't print out the class roster, so I don't know. But I think everybody's supposed to be here, because there was like 21 or 22 students, and there's a bunch of you. So what I thought I'd do is just go around. If you could just give me your first name, I'm sure I can match it up. And then a name I can match you up with. And then what you prefer to be called. If it's something else, then we'll do that. So who wants? And then, okay, so a name, and let's see. Something interesting about yourself. It could be where you're from, it could be what you're studying, just something interesting that you find interesting, that I would find interesting, because then I'll probably remember your name a little bit better. Okay, so who wants to start?
So, my name is Justin.
Justin.
And I'm from Seattle, Arizona.
Okay. Came a long ways for class today. Okay, good.
Zaya, Z-A-I-N-A-B. And I'm lefty.
Can I sit here?
Yeah, please. And you're what?
Left-handed.
You're a lefty. Cool. I was supposed to be a lefty, but they made me be a righty, so I still try to do the left side. Actually, I can write Arabic with my left hand, because it's left to right. I studied it 30 years ago, but yeah. Anyone else can write Arabic with their left hand? You can write it. Oh, you can write Arabic. Cool. Maybe I can tutor. My teacher's name was Nuri, but he reminded me we were not his, which means light, right? Nuri? Nuri? In Arabic? Yeah, my accent's very bad. But anyway, so my teacher of Arabic was my light. So it's kind of cool. Anyway, very good.
My name's Kristen. I'm from Miami. Interesting. I used to be a cheerleader for Miami Heat.
Used to be what?
Cheerleader for Miami Heat.
Wow, cool. I used to live in Merritt Island, off of Cape Canaveral, or is it Cape Kennedy still? Whichever one. That anyway.
Is that by Naples? Cape, like the.
It's
Passes?
back from Orlando.
Oh, okay.
It's the coastal part of Orlando. Yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Kristen.
I'm Paul, but everybody calls me PJ.
PJ. Awesome.
Something interesting about me. I'm a dual citizen.
Nice. Which two countries?
The U.S. and Luxembourg.
Luxembourg. Nice. Good to have you. How about we go up front before we forget about you? What's your name? And something interesting.
I'm Tommy, and I have a twin brother.
Tommy with a twin brother. Does he sometime come to your math class and take your test for you?
We don't look anything like
Okay, so that would work. I don't remember.
Is he here for you?
Okay, very good. Let's go over here.
My name's Sam,
Sam.
and I was born on Christmas.
Awesome. You get lots of presents. That's like cool. Hopefully they double you up. Yes, sir.
My name's Alex, and I speak Russian.
Oh, shoot. I just got a block. I worked for a year in Kazakhstan,
Oh,
and I took Russian classes, and obviously I can't remember a single word. I can't even. Yeah, never mind. I won't even try. Probably after we're done, I'll remember some Russian words. But
My name is Sarah, and I work at a day camp a little up the way,
okay, cool. What age people do you work with?
3 to 13.
Awesome. You're brave.
Yeah.
Yes, courage. Yes.
I'm Taylor.
Taylor.
I really can't think of anything.
Nothing interesting. It's just okay.
Really boring.
That's interesting in itself. So, okay. Thanks, Taylor.
I'm Shelby,
Shelby.
and I go to U of A.
Awesome. So you just in town for the summer?
Yeah.
Awesome.
My name's Alicia, and spelled like S. Not a C.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm coming back to school for my second bachelor's degree.
Wonderful. Welcome.
I'm Sam, and I like to play guitar,
What kind?
play music.
12 string, acoustic. Okay. Very good. Nice. I like to play. No one likes to listen when I play, but that's okay. Good. Just have our fun. Let's see. Let's go tick-tock, tick-tock. So back over to this side.
Name's Mitar. I live from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
My name's Ian.
Ian. Is that with an I or an E?
Hi.
Aye, that's okay.
I'm trying to think about something interesting, but I can't.
You were almost the first person in class, right? That's kind of interesting. If the door would have been open, you would have been the first in class.
I was the last, though.
But you were, okay, so that's, yeah. The first will be last, something like that. Okay. Sounds like a prophecy. Yes.
My name's Justin.
Justin.
I just got back from a trip to China,
Nice. What part?
Shanghai.
Awesome. Never been there. Actually, I flew through there. They almost didn't let me out of the airport, but I got through. So I go to Thailand. My wife's from Thailand, so we fly back there. And one time flying through Shanghai, they said you can't go through. You don't have a visa. I said, I don't need a visa. So you get through here, you do. So, anyway. You didn't have that problem, though, did you?
No.
Yeah, you came back. Good. Okay. Yes.
My name is Alina. I'm from Belarus. It's between Poland and Russia.
Yes, Belarus. And the name again?
Alina.
Alina. Very nice. Yeah, I was in Uralsk, Kazakhstan. You know where that, right above the Black Sea, for a year, for 10 months. Interesting. Very good. Yes.
I'm Steven. I'm Costa Rican,
Okay. Nice.
even though I look completely white.
Hey.
My dad's still around though.
Yeah. Nice. Well, my dad's white and my mom's brown, so it's, yeah.
It could actually
Yeah.
go the other way around.
Okay, cool. All works. That's
My name's Devin, I'm from Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Devin, Jacksonville. Nice. We'll stop. We'll do it different this time. We'll come over here.
I'm Shelby, and I'm from Tucson.
Do you go to U of A?
No, I'm
No.
from Tucson, I left.
Just from Tucson, so you got out of there. Okay, so I just thought we might have a friend here. So, okay. Yes.
I'm Ira, and I go to U of A.
You do go to U
I
of A.
do go.
Okay. Very good. Your name?
Maricela.
Marcella. What's that?
I'm from California,
California. What part?
Orange County.
Orange County. All right.
I'm Michelle, and I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Michelle. Okay. My sister's name is Michelle. That's what I always thought we were twins, Michael and Michelle, right? But she's older and I'm not. We're not twins, so. Okay. I'm like Tom. Where's Tommy, right? You are too. Okay. Yes.
I'm Ricardo, and I lived 12 years in Italy. I guess that's kind of different.
That is awesome. What part of Italy?
Pordenone, it's like a northern Italian town.
Awesome. Yeah. Is it by the seaside or?
It's like east, northeast, kind of close to Venice.
Oh, nice. Nice.
About an hour away.
I want to go travel through Italy sometime. It's just,
Yeah.
especially the mountains. Yeah. Cool.
My name is Sohail, and I'm from Milan.
Very good. And our last one, just your name and something interesting about yourself.
Tyrone, I'm from New Jersey.
New Jersey. So we got both coasts covered here now. Anyone else from the East Coast? I think, oh yeah, that's right, Florida. So we got the southern, got the northern, we got the West Coast covered. We even got Scottsdale covered. All right, so this is great. This is great. Thank you, everyone, for entertaining me. Hope it's been entertaining for you, and hopefully you made a few connections with people that are here. Because again, tonight we don't have too much to do, but we'll take a look at our homework system. We'll take a look at Canvas. We'll go over the syllabus just to kind of figure out what the layout of the course is. But the first two lessons we're going to do are not really calculus. They're the preliminary to calculus. They're a little bit more than 1 + 1 is 2. But so what I thought is, would it be okay with you if we sort of made those first two lessons like extra credit? Okay. Because I always find it's better to start off with extra credit, so you got like, you know, and I don't know how much that is, but whatever an assignment is, it'll be like having 2 extra assignments. So if you ever miss 2, you got something in the bag. And we'll go over them just to kind of get familiar with the system. I haven't got the computer rooms done, but then you'll be able to go home and go through them. And you'll see it's nothing, hopefully nothing too challenging, but it's more just a way to get you used to using the online homework system, and also the key important things we're going to be needing to do, which is we're going to be working with functions. So a few things from algebra class that brief remembering, and how to calculate a slope. That's pretty much what we'll do today. And hopefully that's pretty clear. And again, if it's not, if it's a little bit of review, that's fine. But it's time for you to kind of get down and comfortable with things. And then we'll do it on Thursday night. We will start into the section on calculus, which is chapter 10. So we're doing chapters 10, 11, some of 12, some of 13, some of 14, and that's all we've got. So let's see if I can. Good, popped up there. So we'll just start off with the syllabus, and this is just to kind of show you where we're at. And again, I even copied this from somebody else. They sent it to me, and most of it. So if it seems a little what should we say? Did I get one to you? Yes, you did. Okay, good, because this is the last one. It seems a little Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, that it might be, because I most of it's somebody else, but some things I didn't like, so I put my own stuff in there. And hopefully mine's a little bit more open, but we'll see. So we're here 6 to 8:40 is the times, Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is 461. I'll get another classroom where we'll have computer access for everybody. And again, we'll do sort of a preliminary preview in here, and then we'll move to the other class. Unless it works out that we might just switch to the other class altogether, I'll figure that one out. But for now on, just kind of plan to come here to start, and then after we get through that part, we'll have computers available so we can start working on the homework. Start date's 5/29, end date's July 19th. And actually, I replaced the prerequisites as you have to pass this test. Okay, so you all did well with that. A few course competencies. Cell phones, this was actually more, some teachers say turn them off, don't have them, but there's a lot of good things that cell phones and computers can do. And as we've got our book as an e-book, maybe you've got a laptop and you want to have the e-book open, that's fine. Maybe you got it on your phone, that's fine. So electronic devices are fine. I just put down that they can be distracting. Sometimes, your friends are sending you messages or something, and it might not seem like much, but sometimes you just, it's just like when you're driving, right? A second away over here might result in something not so nice happening in the road. Well, we hopefully don't have that danger here, but watch it. I had one student that, and I won't stop yet, but I could see she was using the phone, and she goes, I'm not understanding this. I said, well, maybe if you looked at me more than the phone, you might do okay. And she did. She stopped using her phone, and she goes, wow, it's all clear now. I said, okay. So that's kind of the goal, is you do what you need to do, but just watch those distractions. The Math Tutor Center is open until 6 p.m., so that's just back down through those glass doors. So that's worked perfect. When they close, just come to class. So you won't have to worry about working with a tutor so much that you forgot about class, because they'll kick you out, and then you'll come down here. You'll need a WebSign account, and the instructions are, I guess I should follow along here, is right here. So you go to this website, you enter this code, Scottsdale CC 5166-4155, and then you'll have access to the course free for 10 or 14 days. And then you have to pay or else they'll drop you out. So you don't want to get dropped out. So I always tell hey, if you get through this course in 14 days, maybe, or whatever the deadline is, that's fine. Okay. I don't know if it can be done, but maybe it could. And I'm going to show you, you can pace yourself through this. I do have some due dates set up, but I think the whole course is available. I'll be honest with you, I haven't actually looked at what it looks like, because it won't show me the student version until today, and then I get so busy I actually haven't looked at it. So I'll be seeing it the first time with you today. But you should, if you want to work ahead, you're more than welcome to work ahead. But sign up, and then I think it's $100. You pay that directly to the textbook company online, and then that gives you the access. The good news is, how many of you know that you need to take Math 217, or the second version of this? The book that you buy, this access, will also, if you take it here at least, will go right into 217. Yes?
What if I was also in this class last semester?
Then we got and you've already bought access. You should have lifetime access.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. She said it was like 3 semesters or something like that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
We will get you, now this is my first challenge, it's up to me to get you transferred into this one. So I'll figure out how that happens. I'll call my friend and say, and actually she's shadowing in the class, so she may just do it for me. So your name, don't tell me. Let's see, which way did I go? is Shelby. No, it's Hunter. No, it's Shelby.
Shelby.
Shelby, yeah. So I'm dyslexic too, so that was the other thing. I can't figure out and I went left to right. So Shelby, I'll look up and I'll see what we can do to get you moved over. Do you know who your instructor was?
Yeah, it was Carla Stroud.
Perfect. She's the one who's
Yeah, she's great.
watching. Yeah, she's taking care of me this summer. She's babysitting me. In fact, she'll when we get to the end, she's going to maybe substitute at the end because I want to do some traveling, and so she's going to take over for the last week or so. But we'll see about that. Okay, good. So I'll contact her about that. We'll also be using Canvas, so I'll open up that, and there's basically just a syllabus in there right now. I think that's all there is. But what I'll start doing is, if the live streaming works, it will, but I'll get a test. I will also put the links to those live streams up there. So you'll be able to come in and get those kind of resources. Most of the course will happen through WebAssign. Oh, and the other thing that will eventually be in Canvas are the exams that we'll take. Okay. I'm still working on that though, and I'll talk about that when we get to the schedule. Okay, so far so good? Okay, calculators. I'll be honest, it's been a while since. I think you do need some graphing calculator. TI-84 would be good. It's the one I'm familiar with using. It'll have most of the techniques you need. So 83 or 84, 84 plus, any of those will work. If you've got a Casio calculator or as long as this graphing calculator can work, you'll just have to know how to handle it. The original version, sorry, it's not stapled, but it's got all the information. Okay. And what's your name?
I'm Bud.
Bud. What's something interesting about yourself?
I'm half Japanese and half white.
Very good. Okay. And where were we? Okay. So calculator. Sometimes there's apps on your phone that you can have graphing calculators. They're fine. We'll talk about testing with the phone. I'm okay with it because I'm going to show you, you're going to be using it correctly. Because the phone as a tool is fine, but taking pictures in exams aren't really what they're made for. That might be different stories. Okay. Need computer access, obviously, because you got to be able to get online, and we've got computer labs. You need email, so do check your email. You should have Maricopa email, and again, some of you from other schools might not be, regularly checking that. So there is ways that you can forward a Maricopa email to another email account. Just make sure that whichever email you're accessing gets the announcement. So how many of you got the announcement that Canvas was ready to go? Okay. If you didn't, then you need to do something so that it comes to your email. Okay. Maybe it's in your email, you didn't check, that's a different story. But check regularly. If something happens, I need to cancel class, I'll let you know in advance so that you don't have to come here. I don't plan on it happening, but we don't always get what we plan, right? So, good. There is an optional textbook if you want a paper version. Now, this textbook, Finite Mathematics and Applied Calculus, is an ebook inside your account. So when you sign up for the course, you'll have the homework and you'll have the ebook. If you want a printed book, you could also get that. So you could do a search on this this name here with these authors and order it if you want, but it's not really required, and that's fine. So grading, I think I got this fixed right. So homework is going to be 40%, and we'll count how many homeworks we have, and that basically tells you how much, and then it'll tell you how much extra credit you're going to get for the two sections that we're going to look at tonight. 5% for participation and attendance. And again, what I'll do, and again, hopefully this is working, I'm not real confident. What I do for attendance is you either need to be here or you need to be watching it online. And it could be watching it live, or it could be, it's recorded so you could watch it anytime, hopefully before the next class. But what I do is sort of, it's maybe a little cheesy way to do it, but to check that you've attended, I come up with this method called the word of the day. So we are going to come up with a word of the day each day, and just sort of that, word of the day. And that'll be, maybe I should write it in here. Oh, I forgot. Anyway, I'll write it up here and I'll say it. What you'll do is then I will have an attendance quiz, and I'll say the word of the, and I'll give you 4 choices of 4 different words. A couple that are maybe similar to what we talked about, what the word is, and then as long as you know the word of the day, you'll do that, and that'll record your attendance. Even if you're here, now some people say, can't you just mark on my nest? And no, I don't, I'm lazy. You'll have to go in and take the test just like everybody else. But here's the deal, is to do that, the quizzes have to have a point. So you actually, every time you do this, you actually get extra points, because I don't know how to turn that off. So when you take the attendance quiz, it'll also give you a point. So you get extra credit, and you're also verifying that you were attending class either virtually or in class itself. So what I need is what would be a good word of the day?
Attendance.
Attendance. Beautiful. Attendance. And hopefully it's spelled right. You got to watch for the spelling, because I 7th grade, my English teacher wrote my annual to my most creative speller. So I've kind of lived into it. I'm not a bad speller. I'm just a creative speller. So, but you'll probably be able to. It'll be multiple choice. There'll be 4 words. One will be attendance. That's the one you want to check off, and you make sure that I know you were here, or that you watched the video enough to at least get to the point where I said the word of the day is attendance. Okay, got that? Okay. So, and then we'll do this each week, each day. And again, either if you were here or not, you'll take the attendance quiz. It does take me a little bit, because 8:40 we get done. I live about 35 minutes from here. By the time I get home, I'm probably not going to just bust out the computer and put in an attendance quiz. So it might not happen until the next day, but they'll pop up, and I'll let you know when those are. I'll make the link to the class recording plus the attendance quiz, and I'll send out a little announcement, say those are ready for you, and then just do it. Yes?
Is all that going to be on WebAssign?
That will all be on Canvas. Okay. So yeah, pretty much anything that happens live in the class is here. WebAssign, I'll be honest, I really don't know how to use that thing much. So the assignments are what they are. I played with a little, but I'm not quite sure how. WebAssign will just be for the homework part. Okay. Good. We will have chapter tests. There'll be a total of 3. I'll do one at the end of chapter 10, one at the end of chapter 11, and I think I do 11 and 12 together. I did all this planning, I can't remember. And then we'll do, I think, 13 and 14 together. And then there'll be a final exam. And we'll look at the schedule. You'll see that my plan for this is that all the exams will be taken through Canvas. There'll be multiple choice. And you will take them on your own time. There's this new app that they have with Canvas called Respondus Lockdown Browser. Has anyone used it yet? Cool. I haven't, but someone was demonstrating to me. It's really cool. You have to be at a computer with a webcam. You use the webcam to show that you're the only one there. You're not talking to anybody. The webcam's going to watch you. So, just remember while you're taking that exam, you're being watched. And not that I'm going to sit down and watch a whole video of people taking tests, but I guess that's supposed to be enough that you're honest about your test taking. The other part I'll do is, if you don't do well on an exam, I will allow for a retake. I can, this makes an easy way for us to do retesting. I just make a different version of the test. You study a little bit more, you can retake it. So I think with that option, you can retake the test as many times as you need. Hopefully you prepare well the first time and do well the first time, but if you need to retake it, you'll retake it. And hopefully that deals away with that thing called cheating, whatever that is, right? Do your best, work with us. I guess you could take it when we're doing our homework part if you want to do it here. But my goal is I thought it gives us more class time to work on things, get questions answered, and then you will have basically, once we finish chapter 10, I'll do like a week's window that you should at least take the test the first time. And if you didn't do well, we'll work on retests, those sort of things. So you'll have a window, you schedule it, you get yourself in your comfortable place, and oftentimes you'll get a page of notes too. And that's one of the things that'll ask you is, show the page of notes. But you get a page of notes, and that's perfectly legal, okay? Because that's in business. I used to be, what did I do? I did mortgage loans, I did financial planning, I did retirement plans, and I was what they call the inside guy, so I would come up with all the formulas and did stuff. I never went out to sales. Actually, I did it once, and I did a terrible job. I'm not a salesman, but those are the guys that made the $1 million, and I made like $10 an hour, but that's okay. I was happy doing what I did. But whenever I needed something, I'd go look it up, and this was back in the 80s, so we didn't have all the internet stuff, so I'd look it up in a book. And but that's what you do, right? And so the idea of having a sheet of notes is at least you've gone through and studied it the first time so you know how to use it. But you don't have to memorize stuff, you just need to be able to apply stuff. That's really what needs to happen.
What happens if your laptop doesn't have a webcam?
You can borrow mine.
I was taking in class then?
Yeah, you'll be taking it. And we'll have, I think we got webcams. We'll figure out something, yeah. Or you'll sign a waiver or something. But that's the idea, is that the tests are proctored, and we'll work out something. If you feel more comfortable taking it in class, we can make that happen too. But I'm going to do it through Canvas so that you can see the results. Once you finish, it will be graded. And so each time you'll know what you did. And if you didn't do as well as you want, you can kind of go back, review, and you'll know what you need to work on. Okay, so it's more with the idea that these are concepts that are going to help you in your career, whether you're marketing, whether you're a development person. I don't know, what else do you do in business? Y'all are going to business. You got to know. So I know there's marketing. I know there's development. What else is there?
Logistics.
What's that?
Logistics.
Logistics. Okay, I never even thought of that. How about
Finance.
finance? Yeah, I should have thought of that. That's good to remember. Management, right? You might need some of this. How your employees are producing those things.
Supply chain.
Supply chains. Yeah, there's all this stuff. Cool. Yeah, they're smart. So all those kind of things that are going to go on, this is stuff that really will help you. And that's the approach I want to take. It's not so much that can you do some fancy algebraic manipulations, but can you understand, once you got a derivative, what does it mean? So we're not trying to make the mathematics itself the difficult part of this. We're trying to make, not that we're trying to make anything difficult, but we're trying to make the focus on the concepts, understanding once you've got your answer, what does it mean? Okay, good. Occasionally we'll do some worksheets. Again, I haven't, I got the class planned out, but I'll tell you what, I'll look at things probably a week in advance maybe, and occasionally if I find a worksheet that might work, we'll do something in class, and we'll have some points associated with too. But most of the stuff will be the online homework. And sometimes you might do the online homework and you might say, well, I did the 5 problems and I got them right, but I still don't feel like I understand this. And so you might ask for some additional things that might explain it, and I'd be happy to come up with that. So this is kind of a push and pull type thing. You let me know what you need, and I'll provide it. Also, once we finish up, I'll provide a printed practice test so you have an idea of the types of questions that will be on the test. And it's easy for me to do because with the multiple choice, I just sort of do 10 to 15 questions, version A, B, C. So I got things ready for retest. I'll give you one of those versions so you kind of know what you're going to be going up against. So you can study with others and figure out how it all works. Okay, so no surprises. As long as you do the work, you're going to be just fine. This is my part. Nobody ever uses this, but these are my class rules. And I won't do it today, but I did this. My research is more into ethnomathematics, the ethnic applications, cultural applications of mathematics. And I found this thing that's really cool from India called Vedic math. India also has a lot of high culture on using mathematics for concentration, using meditation, all sorts of things, just basically to develop your mental abilities. And that's how, when I, as a math teacher, that's what I looked at. Math, I think the best thing it does for us, or the best thing it did for me, is help organize the way we think and make us stronger. One of the concepts I ran across there, when I grew up as a kid, I went to Catholic school. Anyone else going to Catholic school? Right? Yeah, the nuns in the black. Yeah, this was a really hardcore Catholic school. And you did anything wrong, it was like, and so, and again, nothing against Catholic. My grandmother's still Catholic, and 97 years old. She still takes her wine and bread every, when she's supposed to anyway. So, but when I was Catholic and other Christian religions, I always got this feeling that I was either a good boy or a bad boy, and most of the time I was a bad boy because I was doing something wrong, right? And so you're either doing something right or doing something wrong. And I didn't. I was also a Christian minister for a while, and for political reasons left the church. But I came across this conception as I was traveling back to Thailand with one of my friends from high school who lived back there. And the Eastern way of looking at things is not necessarily good and bad. Is that there's skillful ways that, first of all, we all own our actions. What we do, we own it. We did it, right? That's one of the things, especially when I was a kid. I didn't do that. I didn't break that thing. Sure, I did, but I never owned up to it. But first thing you got to own up to, you are the owner of your actions. Whatever you're doing, you did it, right? And then the second thing is that each action we do either is skillful or unskillful. And how would you be able to tell the difference between a skillful action and an unskillful action? What would you say?
Skillful actions are those that do not harm anyone and that eventually lead to success.
Awesome. Sounds familiar. Good. And so, if you were hungry and you ate something, is that skillful?
Yes.
If you're stuffed and you still keep putting the food in, is that skillful? Probably not. But sometimes we, it's so good, we just keep eating until we get sick, right? That's not skill. So the same action, eating, can be either skillful or unskillful. Studying can be done in a skillful way or an unskillful way. We could study and then understand what we did, or we could maybe even spend 5 hours studying, but at the end, I don't even know what I did. So what I want you to think about is, as far as class rules, is skillful or unskillful. That's why I don't say you can't use your cell phone, you can't do this, you got to be here. If you miss class, you get this. I just want you to figure out what's the most skillful use of my time and what's going to help me learn Greek calculus at the level I need to learn it. And each of you have different levels. Okay, you don't all have to master this. In fact, some of you could probably be just fine without knowing any of it. Don't let them know I said that, but I mean, it's possible. But know it enough that it's going to be helpful to you, right? And the thing is right now, you might not know what that is. Right now, I might not know because I don't know what career you're going to go into, what your boss is going to ask you to do. But there's sometimes when you just, the boss asks this and you knew it from a class, and you become a star. Or maybe you forgot it and then you're not the star. So it's all this sort of things. But class rules are just try to be skillful. And if you find things that are working for you, go ahead, do them more often, right? And if things are not working, try to put them aside. But sometimes those unskillful things, they can be fun. Like eating that last piece of pizza after you're already stuffed. That's still sometimes, I just got to have one more piece. But eventually we say, hey, I'm hurting myself, so let me kind of let those go. So that's really how I like to run the class. If something doesn't work right, let's fix it. Okay, let's just make it work. So here's our schedule, and that's one of the things you'll notice is there is no test dates in here because those will all be done on your own time. Because I figure, it's not really an effective use for me to just stare at all you while you're all working on stuff. So we'll come up, and again, this is the first time I've actually, I haven't actually ever used the respondents, but I went through the videos and it looks like it'll work cool. And we'll see. What I'll do is sort of maybe next week I'll have a little practice test, give you a few points, and just to make sure it all works, and so you can test it out. And we'll have something simple like this: 1 + 1 is 2. So just to see that the system works, okay? But again, every time you take a quiz, got to give you points, so you get a few extra credit points for that. And then once we make sure it works, then we'll use it for the full system, okay? And again, you get to schedule the exams at when you want to do it. I believe the computers here have webcams, so that would probably work just as well. Okay, so I tried to, in the, I don't know what color this is, maybe a brownish or something, but these are my explanations of what's going on. So you'll see that we sort of start off with the introduction part. We're about ready to take a look at our online stuff, and we'll look at functions and linear functions. We will then, when we get to chapter 10, is going to be dealing a lot with stuff about theory and the foundations. So we'll get through that. It's typically the hardest part of the calculus because it's well, it's theory. But some of you won't have a problem. I don't like to say that, but it's the harder part of what we're going to do. And then we'll get into applications where you'll add one or subtract one. Okay, so that works pretty good. Then we'll get, and again, we'll do about 2 units a night. And I've got the homework set up to be due the day after the next class. So like on Thursday, so this first one's, I think I have it, I can't remember when the due date, we won't worry about that because it should be so quick, but the chapter 10 one, the due date will be the following Wednesday. And the reason I do that is, again, we may be able to get a lot of it done in class, maybe all of it, but I wanted to leave a crossover so that in the next class, if you had some questions, you could ask those questions before it's due. Now, I don't know what happens when the due date comes up, because I haven't done this. Do you know what happens when the due dates come up?
I think it just gets locked and you can't click on it anymore.
Okay. So I'll see if I think I can unlock that, or so. We'll work with that, because again, I got due dates in there just to kind of keep you going, but my philosophy is if you didn't get it done today, but tomorrow, why should you get penalized because it's 1 day off or 2 days off, right? So as long as you're learning, it's going to be fine. But I did want to have some due dates to kind of keep you going.
So would like Tuesday homework be due that Friday?
Yes. I think. Or maybe I made it the Monday, because I think I made it the Mondays because I figured if I was a student, I'd want the weekend to maybe follow up. So I kind of do it that way. If I didn't, I'll do that. Okay. But I think I did make it the following Monday. So it's at least, it will cross over at least a class, so you have a chance to ask questions, but maybe a little bit more. And again, if you're feeling rushed, just let me know when make adjustments.
For these homeworks, like, will one homework be covered in one class? Like, you won't get halfway through homework and be like, oh, we haven't gone over this.
The goal is that won't happen. The goal is that on these nights, so that on Thursday I will completely go over 10.1 and 10.2. And the way I go over stuff is I go do the homework beforehand. And in this class I have to, because it's been so long. Usually I know what the homework is, and I work problems. That's how I teach. So I give you the big picture of what the concept is, but then at the bottom line is I work the types of problems you're going to be asked to work. So you see the technique. And then at the end we talk about the story of what is it that we got, and so we understand where we're at. But the goal is that, for the first hour, I will cover both of those sections. And then the second hour and 40 minutes will be in the lab if you want to be. Again, you could take off if you want and be on your own. But if you're in the lab, we'll be able to answer all those questions. And occasionally, if I miss something, that's what's good about being in the lab. You say, hey, you didn't talk about this. I go, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. So then I can cover it. So the idea is that it's all covered in the 2 hours and 40 minutes that we have scheduled here together. And so that every I think we can do it two units, about 30 minutes per unit. And I take a fairly straightforward approach. Okay. Awesome. Questions? What else? Yes.
For the lockdown browser, do you have to pay for it?
No, it's free. That's the other thing is, there is a Proctor U or something, that's like $30. And I was supposed to use that, but I never did. And then I saw that the school pays a fee for the Respondus browser, and so it's free to you. The school pays a one-time licensing fee. And I said, so we can use it as much as we want. And again, it's mostly just to remind you that you're being watched, you're being proctored, that it's a proctored environment, do your own work. And again, if you don't do as well as you want, you'll be able to retake it. So, and I think that alone will do it. And I trust we develop a relationship, and I mean, I can tell when people are lying, because I've lied a lot. I know what I look like when I lie. I get real shaky, and so I never don't look you in the eye, and so I do all this kind of thing. So I know what it looks like to lie, but I really honestly believe even if I did use the lockdown the browser because we have this arrangement, and that you know that if you don't do well, you can retake it, it'd be fine. But it's the administration that's going to say, hey, little crow, you're not, this is, your students are all getting A's, and they must be all cheating because you don't proctor the exam. So I can say, hey, I got videos of it all. Watch. They're all getting A's because they earned them. That's the goal. Maybe they took the test 3 times, but that's okay. Maybe you took it the first time, but whatever you need to do will get you there. Okay. And I'm hoping with the practice test that the first time you just knock it out of the park. That's the goal. Because it makes me feel like I'm a good teacher if you do well. If you didn't do well, maybe I was like a lousy teacher. So it goes both ways. Okay. All right, and so basically the way the class will work is up through all the way from 10 to 12 is what we call the derivative. It's the rate of change. So it's like your speed on the highway, how fast you're going, that's rate of change. In a business setting, it's how fast are the iPods selling or whatever. So what's the rate that it's changing at? And then what we do, the second half of the class, starting with chapter 13 and 14, start to look at something called the integral. And the integral is the reverse of a derivative. And what it ends up being physically, it's an accumulation. So when we're working with the integral, if we know the rate that people are coming into a museum or water is flowing into something, what you can do is you can actually, over a period of time, figure out how many people are in the museum or how much water has been collected. And so that's another business application. So 2 types is rates, how fast are things changing so I can predict what's going to happen tomorrow. And then the other one is accumulation of how soon is my tank going to get filled up because this is happening. The water is coming into the tank or something. We'll look at those applications. But that's the basic 2 types of questions we're able to answer with calculus. You'll see that July 10th. We'll have online review. I've got this little pad thing, and I'm able to write on this stuff, and I'm able to pull up stuff. I'm going to do those 2 classes the week of July 10th. These will be classes that will actually be online because on July 9th, I get on a plane and go to Thailand. So this is the hybrid part of the class. As we get going, I can get a substitute for this class if you want some in-class time. So you're going to let me know about that. I have arranged already for a substitute for this last week, and I've asked her, and it's Carla, so she's great. I've seen her teach. She's going to come in. She'll do a review for the final exam. And again, some of you might have already taken it. You might be done early. That's fine if you want to do that. It'll be available. But for those of you who might want an in-class review, she'll be here. I won't ask her to live stream it because figuring out all this technology stuff is a pain. And so there's an in-class review, and then I'll also have her available for those who might want to take the final in the class setting. But again, you'll be also able to take the final exam in the lockdown browser. So anywhere you have internet access. Sound reasonable? Yes.
Using our own laptops?
Yeah.
Anywhere?
Anywhere there's internet. Yeah, you want to follow me to Thailand?
Yeah.
We'll hang out. I got a rice farm over there. We'll just kind of...
Don't do it in your underwear, pretty much.
Yeah, be careful. Yeah, don't show me anything I don't really want you to see. So yeah. Although this is great with the online stuff. You just, whatever below the desk, you never know. It's just have a nice shirt on, and nobody else knows the difference. But, right. Okay. I'm not sure of the qualities or anything, but anyway, it's mostly just to see that you're good. Okay. So, exams all online. Again, this is the first time I've actually tried. Actually, I did that on my 141, but I didn't have them proctored. And that's one of the things they said, well, it's not proctored, so your stuff isn't really, how can we know by grades? So, okay, I'll proctor it, we'll know it. Okay, so now that you got the free proctoring, and I don't want you to pay $25, because it costs like $20, $25 to have a 1 hour exam proctored. Now it's free. Okay, so this is cool. And so we can use the class time to do what we need to do. Just think this, this July time, as we get closer, if anyone would like some in-class person time, I'll get somebody arranged. If nobody does, then why arrange for somebody who's going to sit here and do nothing? So we'll talk about that later, but the July 17th one I do have arrangements. Okay, and then the rest of most of the stuff, essential attendance is essential, but again, that's why I do the live streaming. You can attend in person or virtually. And I found I had a student actually last semester. She failed the class the previous semester because she had car troubles, and she lives down in Saskatoon. Anyone knows where Saskatoon is? It's way down there. I taught for ASU for what did I teach down? A college math class down there, and it's like an hour drive, especially traffic. Anyway, she couldn't get here, so she failed the class because she needed to be here. Fortunately for her, when she took my class, that was last semester, that was the first time I started live streaming. She thought she had all her transportation issues solved, and she did until the second week of class, and then car broke down, sister needed this, that. She couldn't make it, but she watched the live stream. She passed the class because she was able to get what she needed. The only thing you can't do from the live stream is ask questions. But you can email me later. With this system, I can actually answer questions with a video response where I write down the steps and stuff. So if you're working with something, hey, 14 question, whatever you're working on, let me know. I can actually pull it up or a similar version of it. I can work it out, in a little video, walk you through it, send it back to you. 5 minutes later, you got it solved. So we're trying to work at this. We can be anywhere we need to be, doing anything we need to do, and still learn brief calculus. Okay, and learn it really good. That's the idea. Okay, good. Participation. Sometimes the thing about I like hybrid versions because then people who like the human interaction of learning, they're here because a lot of times just by being together, we're able to understand each other better and explain things in a better way. I know I'm a better teacher when I listen to what students are asking, and when you tell me, hey, that didn't work for me, I still don't understand, I can find a way to understand it, to explain it better. So it's good to be here, but then a lot of you got busy lives and stuff, and sometimes you'll find, hey, it's better if I don't take the 2-hour drive both ways. And you're not driving from Tucson, are you? No, not coming. So, yeah, that would be terrible to drive back and forth from Tucson to come here. But there are students that have a fairly long commute. And so sometimes you might find, hey, with the live streaming, I'm able to use that time to study and save on that. Okay, so the goal is that you learn the content. And I always try to get away from, grading that is on your behavior, marked down because you're not here, points for this and that. So, the exams, 35% will be for the three chapter type exams, and then there'll be a 20% grade for the final exam. The final exam will just be a collection of the problems from the previous 3 exams. But what it does is it helps you to see that you can apply the whole breadth of everything. So you learned everything as pieces, and the final exam gives you a chance to just put it all together. But if you did well on the 3 exams, you will do just fine on the final. It's just that opportunity. And you will still get your page of notes. In fact, maybe for the final, should we look like 3 pages of notes?
Yes.
Does that seem reasonable? Good.
5.
3 tests? Well, 1 page per exam, so then you could just if you took good notes while you were taking those exams or before those, just use those same 3 and you'll be fine on the.
Are they timed?
Should they be timed?
No. No.
Yeah,
Pages front and back.
front and back. Yeah, of course, and the side. If you can write on the side of the paper, sure. Get a thick piece of paper. Yeah, I don't like time tests because sometimes just having that gets you stressed, right? So we'll do them on time. But
Okay. Cool.
if you end up taking 24 hours on them, that's might going to be a problem. But so don't try not. In fact, with the respondents browser, you're not supposed to. If you leave, you're supposed to say, "Hey, I need to go to the bathroom." You can go to the bathroom, so don't worry about that. But you're supposed to tell the webcam, "Hey, I'm going to the bathroom." And if you're gone for 24 hours and then come back, we'll worry about that. But yeah, I think it's fine if you guys are okay with not having them timed.
Yeah.
Because who wants to sit around and take 2-3 hours if you could do it in 15 minutes, right? But the thing is, whenever I put a time on it for somebody, I gave you 2 hours, but they needed 2 hours and 5 minutes, right? And so it cuts you off. So, but try to study enough so that it's you got the time you need. Okay. So far, so good. What else? And this is, I try to get back within 24 hours. Usually quicker. I got this tablet thing, phone that, I get emails through it. I get everything. So when you send me an email, even through Canvas, or I think through WebAssign, I've got my email too. It comes right to this. And so I get them pretty quick. And if I can respond, I'll respond quickly, sometimes within a few minutes, but not always. Sometimes I'm doing something else. And but I do guarantee I'll get back to you within 24 hours. But usually during the daytime, I'm able to get back with you in a reasonable time, within hours. Over the weekend, maybe a little bit longer, but maybe not. Again, I just get used to having it with me and can usually respond. Let's see. Withdrawal. The main thing is I need you to be all registered for WebAssign, say by the end of this week. Again, if you're not, I'm going to email you and say, okay, by the beginning of next week. And then I'm going to say, so we'll get, I don't want to withdraw anybody, but there's a certain point where we've gone past the time and, it is a summer course, it is 8 weeks, and we need to get it done. Okay, so help me out, get signed up by the week. And again, probably, in fact, we might even go commandeer a room if we get done a little early, if anyone who might want to sign up. I think I saw one wasn't being used, so I'll just, at the end of this class, because we'll probably be done in another 45 minutes, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the WebAssign, show you what it is. We'll walk through the first few lessons, we'll do them together, and then I'll see if there's any questions, and when there aren't any more questions, we'll dismiss for the evening, but I'll make a room available with computers for anyone who might want to, get logged on and signed up. How many of you have already signed up? 1, 2, a few of you. Okay, that's good. I didn't get it posted till last night sometime, right? So I was a little bit behind on that. The rest of this stuff is standard. College does all this stuff, so it's read it if you like, but I put all the important stuff in the beginning, at least, and all this stuff is something somebody else wrote. I don't think there's really, just go through it. Yeah, and I noticed I didn't put my YouTube channel. It's I'll put that up here. I don't think capitalization. It all runs together, one word, Open Global Village. It's a nonprofit that my wife and I set up back in 2008 when we were doing an education abroad to Thailand. What I did is we took elementary ed students from here, from Scottsdale and ASU. Took them over to Thailand, put them in classes over there, had them teach English and math, middle school, grade school, and high school, and so that they could see the effect of culture in education. It was a good project, but we haven't, they stopped doing education abroad here, but OPEN stands for Original Peoples Education Network. And it just so happens the tribe I'm from, I'm Anishinaabe, which is Turtle Mountain Chippewa. Anyone know what heard of Chippewas before? We were just the largest tribe in the plains, but of course the Sioux say they were. But anyway, Anishinaabe is the word we call ourselves, which means original people. And what's cool is I didn't know that when I came up with this name. I learned that later. So I said, wow, I use my own tribe's name, sort of. So anyway, you can go there. And the advantage is that you'll see these live streams will be there. My wife also posts her Thai cooking classes, so she could learn how to cook some Thai food if you'd like. In fact, it's kind of, sometimes she gets more hits than I do, and I go, geez. She also teaches mindfulness, so she does some guided meditation, so you're welcome to look at that part too. And there's some stuff on our education abroad, but us working with the kids and stuff. If you have, those are kind of fun to watch too. And there's some math stuff there too, so a lot of math stuff. Okay, so far so good. Okay, yes.
Off topic, can I eat?
Sure.
Like, are we allowed to eat us?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Let's see. And usually, I'm good at ignoring signs because anything up here. Yeah. So there's one sign back there, but don't look. As long as you don't look at the sign. Yeah. And technically you're not supposed to, but I only had to stop one student because she sat it was like we were in this auditorium classroom with 40 students. She would sit in the front row, and then she would have her lunch, and there were chips with bags, and so it was noisy food. Okay,
sorry.
Yeah, but see, that'll pass, right? So, and I know this is kind of the evening time, so you need, so as long as it's not disturbing everyone, if I come and say, hey, can you wait till we do the computer lab time or something? But you're fine. Yeah, no, I'm just. Oh, I said if it's a hypothetical. Hypothetical, yes. So yeah, if you need it, yeah, no problem. Okay. So that's that. So let's take a look. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at Canvas first, just to see that there's really nothing in there. So you go to learn.maricopa.edu and you log in. And hopefully you have in your database here something like this class Summer Math 212. Click on that. And they started something called, I think they called it Blueprint or something with Canvas. And they fill in all this stuff is stuff that they, this first steps, getting started. None of this is part of the class. It's all stuff that they put in there. There are links to maybe things that might be helpful to you, so I guess that's good, but it's like, really, can't we put that in a back page? They said no, so in fact, I can't even change that. So this first page is really, again, it's got some information, but this is really for that. I think I put my picture in here. Let's see what's in the... Yeah, there's me. I was at a conference in Bangkok there. Look a little different now. I do that. I let the facial hair grow and then I cut it off and then I bring it back. We'll see. Might look like that by the end. Who knows? But here's some contact information. If you want to know a little bit about me, I went to Oregon State University. I got my bachelor's in '85 and then came back when I was like in my later 30s and got a master's. Came back to education to be a teacher because I missed it. And I've been here at Scottsdale for since 2004. Yeah, and I taught at Oregon State for 6 years. And let's see, then we can go back to the home. You can also, basically, the main thing here is over on this side, you get the syllabus, so you can click on here, but you got a printed version, but if you ever lose it, there it is. And the main part of the syllabus, sort of to keep track of, is that schedule. I kind of let you know what's going to be happening when. Can't really ever miss a test because those are, again, I'll give you like a week's window. And again, if you don't get it done in that week, I'm going to contact you and send the aliens to get you or something. I don't know, but we'll work on that. But try to get it done in that week's window. Okay. And then the other thing is you'll be able to check on your grades here. So as things get posted, now when you get something done in WebAssign knows it's done. Canvas doesn't. It needs to wait for me to transfer those over. And for some of my other classes, I used another. We had Math AS before. Anyone used Math AS? Okay, so I figured out a system where I could download grades from there and then use Excel and put them in here fairly easily. But this is something that'll probably happen on a weekly basis. So it might be a few days, it might even be a full week. So if you finish like on a Sunday night and I just posted grades, it might not be till the next Sunday night. So just, but if something's missing, go ahead and email me. I'm good with that. But it just may take a little bit. Okay, so you can check on the grades. And that's pretty much what will be in there. And you'll start to see this thing on quizzes. That's where the test will be. It'll be under the quizzes. They'll all be multiple choice. You'll open up that. And again, I'll send out an announcement when those things are available. And next week sometime we'll do a little test, a test of the test to make sure it all works. Okay, and that's pretty much what Canvas will be used for. We okay with that? Yes?
Are there going to be like content quizzes, or are they just the attendance thing?
Good question. There'll be the attendance quizzes, and then there'll be a more, I guess I should call them exams, but the Canvas calls them quizzes. Yeah, so you're good. The attendance quizzes will be in here as well. So the first one will be the day of attendance, let's say attendance, and you'll choose that, and that'll get you a point. But also the exams will be under the quizzes, which is a little confusing, but they're really the same thing. And I think I can make it so it'll be kind of clear. What I do is I put them in two different groupings, and I think I think it should be pretty clear. If it's not, let me know, again, because sometimes what it looks like for me when I'm doing it, it might look different for you, and it's not as clear. I sometimes said, hey, it's right there. And the student's like, no, it's not, because sometimes I got to click a little button to make it visible to you. So sometimes I see something that you can't, and so anyway, we'll work all that out. But everything, so the main thing is going into quizzes. You'll be able to see all of them. Even the final exam will be here under quizzes. And all the final exams are going to be a collection of questions from the previous 3 tests. They'll be a little different. I mean, numbers will be changed, but they'll be basically the same questions that you've already answered. Okay. So that's Canvas. Shall we take a look at WebAssign? Okay. So to go to WebAssign, we type in WebAssign. That's kind of cool. .net, not .com, .net. And then we log in. And again, the first time you go through this, let's see, you might just enter the class key, and then that allows you to set up an account, and you get access right away. Again, it'll tell you, I think, is it 14 days or is it 10 days? 14 days. So it gives you 14-day free access. If you want to just get on it and try to get it all done, go for it. I don't think I could do it all in 14 days.
Do you have a discount code for us?
Unfortunately not. So it's $100, but it does give you 2 weeks, and again, I'll work on getting yours transferred over. So if you have had it before, that we were told, and the reason we're using this is that it's a lifetime membership type thing. So you could take it multiple times. It used to be like only 3 semesters, but I think Carla negotiated hard on them that it was kind of a lifetime thing, it's supposed to be. And then when you go to 217, it should work as well.
So if I used WebAssign like 2 semesters ago, but probably not the same book, it's not...
No, it has to be the same course. Yeah, the same course. because yeah, they have other ones otherwise. So you log in, and I think I've got my, yeah, it remembers me. Let's see what it looks like. It looks like that to me because I'm the teacher. So let's look at it now in student view, which it wasn't showing me last night. So checks, I guess I need install a plugin. So tonight we're going to look at getting started with WebAssign. That's really just a activity to show you how it works. And then we've got these two homeworks, and you notice you could go ahead. They've got the due dates here, but you can work in advance if you'd like. Again, if you get past the due date and you get locked out, we'll figure that one out. Just email me and I'll figure out how to get you unlocked so you can keep working through it. But if you can, if you stay up with the things, I think that's going to be the best way for success. Again, what's skillful for you might be unskillful for me, or vice versa. So that's the nice thing about this. Individually, what works for one person that might not work for another. So we'll just do what works for you. Okay, the book's over here, so we could click on that, and then you can, read this section. So does anyone read books anymore? Some people still do. That's why we got our math, our college math set up with that. And I always say, okay, before you come to class, read but nobody does. And I'll be honest, when I was a student, I didn't either. In fact, one of my education books, I looked at it years later and said, man, this is a good book. I wonder why I didn't read it the first time. Might have been cool. So if you read, it's a great way of getting information. And it does work, but I'm understanding for those of you who don't, because I'm dyslexic and I don't. Sometimes the reading bogs me down and stuff, and that's why I'm in math, because I can look at a math problem, oftentimes figure out the pattern, but when I try to read what's going on, I get all messed up. So for me, sometimes it's better to not read first and to try it. So that's the thing. I had a student from Japan, and she was, English was like her third language, and she was studying calculus and really struggling, and people kept telling her, well, you just need to read the book more. She came to me and I says, you need to stop reading the book. Because what I found out is she actually had the calculus in her own language, but when I worked with her, she could understand the examples, but what she was having a hard time is as she read the English, it wasn't translating well. And when she stopped reading the English and started looking at the examples, she just excelled. So this is the thing is, yeah, for some people reading works, but not for everybody. So I want you to find the ways that work for you. And I want you to kind of think of that. Is this a better way to do it for me, or is this a better way? Which one is more successful? Which way is skillful? Has anyone clicked on the link for the book yet? Wasn't like, yeah, see, I keep getting this, and I installed it last night, but so I guess we're going to, we'll see how much we're able to do here. So I just go back. So it opens it up in a new window, and if I had the right version of Flash, which I thought I did, I'd be able to see this, but Macs are sometimes this way. Anyone else has a Mac? Okay, a lot of people now. So we'll see if this works, and if you figure out, send me the FYI of how it works. But you should be able to see the book. I'll show you what I got for you on the first ones. I think these ones work. So we'll go just look at 1.1. So this will be like a standard one. It's only 11 questions. And found out if you do a command plus, you can make it look bigger, which is good for here. Okay, so each time on each question, you get 3 submissions, and if you don't have it correct by the 3rd time, it will give you the answer, but then you can always ask for it to give you a similar type problem, and then it sort of scrambles it and gives you a new one, so you can get full credit on all the homework. Okay, and that's what I'll do is you should be able to eventually get the right answer. So what does this mean? F of 0.
Actually, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Do we have a limited time for like each assignment? Like, can you like open it up?
Yeah.
Start and come back to
Yeah,
it?
homework is your playground.
Okay.
Open it up, come back. Once you put in an answer, I think I was tutoring a guy and we did a lot of the homeworks, but there was like a submit button somewhere. Oh, I know there was something that he ran into, so I'm going to go to the bottom. You can submit assignment progress, which is a few of the problems, or you submit the assignment, but be careful. If you're just done a few and you submit the assignment, it grades the whole thing. And then you have to go, yes.
I think with the flash player, you can submit each one individually.
Okay.
At least this morning.
Okay, very good. So I just got to get my Flash player working, and then I can submit each. That's what I thought on his. But he was using my computer, so maybe my Flash went out of date or something. But so we'll do a few of these, and just get you to see that these are sort of algebra review type problems. At least that's what they were supposed to be. So we'll just kind of get you familiar with WebAssign. So f of 0 means we plug in 0 for x, and what's our answer?
3.
Come down here, here's 3. See, almost as easy as my opening questions, right? So these are just, do you know how to look up? So f of 2, 0.5. And I don't know if you need to do 0.5 or 0.5. I think that'll work. Oh, there it is. Save progress. Submit answer. I didn't see that there. Was it there all the time? I don't know.
I think once you type something in it.
That's it. That's the story of my life. You sit, wait for something to happen. If I just take action, it would happen. Okay, and it liked it, so it gave me some green check marks. So that's what we're working for, is green check marks. Okay, red X marks, those aren't good. Okay, so but again, you'll get 3 tries, and if I had put one in wrong, it'll give me a red check mark so I could try it. And then at the end, well, let's just do one that's kind of wrong. The other thing we won't do too many of these because, again, we'll just kind of do an overview. I want to show you a couple tricks I do with slope. But even though this is online, I mean, and this is what I kind of had to do with the student I was working with. He was trying to just kind of figure it all out in his head and do it in the box, and he was actually better at doing that than I was. But at the same time, I would write everything down. I said, and then he'd have a question. I said, well, look here, if you write it down, you would know where you're, because there's sometimes you go 3 or 4 steps. So even though we're inputting the answer into the computer, there's nothing wrong. In fact, there might be a lot right with actually writing things down. And then that also gives us something to study from. Because when we're done with this, if we haven't written anything down, if we've got all the points, it's kind of like now it's gone. And sometimes it's good to have some kind of notes to work with. But again, each person is different. If you're good at just looking at things, coming up with answers and putting them in, that's fine. What works for you, okay? So this one, and again, 2 weeks I've forgotten how in spring I got really good at writing down. I can write on the screen. Let me just see if I can. I'm just a little nervous, y'all guys. Do you realize you make me nervous? You didn't think you made teachers nervous, did you? But it happens. Come on, open up. Where are you? Come on. Now see. Should have practiced a little bit. Oh well. So, f of 2 minus f of minus 2. So how do we find f of 2? Look up in the chart, go over to where the 2 is, look it up. The y value, the output value is 1.5. F of minus 2, go to minus 2, look it up, you got 3, 1.5 2.5 minus 3.
Negative 1.
Okay, so see how that works. What are we going to do with B? Multiply. So you look up the answers and then multiply. C? So look up the answer, multiply by -2. Very good. Okay, we'll go ahead and submit the answer. And sometimes it doesn't warn us, but we see we got 2 wrong because we didn't answer it. But who needs perfection, right? So we just move on. So, but we'd have another chance if we want to come back and do it. So we have 2 more chances after the 3rd time. Let's see what happens when we get it wrong 3 times.
Resets the answers.
It does reset it? Okay.
Says there's 50 submissions.
It says there's what?
Says 50 submissions.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
after the 3rd one, it'll change the process.
Oh, that's
It'll be a
okay.
different number.
So I still got it wrong, so let's just do it.
Yeah.
I just like to see what's going to happen. So this is the 3rd time, and it now gives me the answers. And I was stupid. Yeah, I got to do this, and okay, now I know what to do. And so, how do I get a new one?
You just need to click somewhere.
I need to click somewhere. Ah, thank you. See? I would have been sitting here waiting for 5 or 10 minutes, and then all I got to do is click. Okay, so this is what I want you to see, is that it will happen for you. But if you're like me, I was that kid that was sitting around waiting for stuff to happen.
Can you do question C on there?
Yeah, you got it. So we'll do it with the new randomization. And so now it comes back, well, it's -2 times f of -1. And it looks like they changed our table a little bit, maybe. So C, what we're going to do is we take -2 times the result. What's f of -1? Is 6. So we got -2 times 6, -12. And I think there's a few in here where they actually just give you back the same answer. So if you're writing down answers, a lot of times you could just put them in. Just be cognizant of what's on there. And again, however you want to take notes, you could do screenshots if you want and save them. I think that's good to kind of have a collection of the work that you're doing. But yeah, I don't know that I want to write down a bunch of tables of values and graphs and stuff. And so that's what's nice about having everything online here, if you can do a screenshot. In Mac, that is called what do they call that? They call that a snap or something, or let's see, what is it? A grab. So there's a little, and it doesn't show up, but
You could just do Command-Shift-4 too.
okay, so we got an expert here. So Command-Shift-4, or yeah, you can snap a picture. And then you can save that picture, put in a Word document. So those are the kind of things to kind of keep your notes going as you work through things. But I think you'll find it helpful if you keep some kind of history of what you're working through. Whether you handwrite it, sometimes handwriting is, have you ever heard the saying that you use like only 10% of your brain or 20% of your brain? That's true if all you do is think. But do you know what the other 80% of your brain does? Move your body. When you're moving your body, you're using almost 100% of your brain, because your brain, what it's designed for is to control your body. And yes, it thinks. About 20% has been developed for thinking. Did you realize, with all this information you get today, that in your stomach, you have as many neural cells as are in the brain of a cat or a dog? You have like another brain down here. So when you're, your gut reaction, there's actually a brain. There's at least neural cells down there. So part of your brain is have a whole digestive system. kind of cool. Anyone know that before? I watched some I love watching documentaries. And that was one of the ones that's called like The Second Brain. And then they felt that actually maybe this was our first brain as we developed. And, you know, that's why we're all about food, right? We survive. We need the food. This brain tells us what we need to have. Okay, so snap some pictures, put them in. You can even do this for, these could be your notes for your test. Again, when you take the test, just a page of notes, whatever you want to have on it, back and front. Okay, so yeah, you could save it or just, let's see. I don't need it, so we'll delete it. Okay. They'll give you a chance. So A is equal to 10. So this here is 10. So what must this be here?
20.
20. So what would you say f of 1 is? Here's 1.
20.
F of 1 must be there, which should be 20. Okay. Good. How about f of 2? F of 2 is here, so we go up. We hit a little bit above that. What must that point be? 3a, so maybe a little bit, I don't know, maybe you think it's 31. Let's see what happens if we put 31, I don't know. How about f of 3? Must be here. Go up. 30, maybe exactly 30. And I don't know if my 31 will be right or not. And then f of 5, so that's 3, 4, 5. Looks like we're back to 20. And this is one of the tricks they use. They can use the same graph, same picture, and all they have to do is change the value of A. Yes?
If for whatever reason you're not really understanding what the question is asking, you just use the book.
Yeah, the book will have some things in there, and unlike tonight, when we get into the other stuff, I will actually I won't just go in and say, here's a few problems, let's do it. But I'm assuming this is all, should be at some level of review for you. But again, don't feel bad if it's not, or if it doesn't come back. And all of this stuff is extra credit anyway. Okay. But yeah, the book will have a description. I'm just tired of this one, so let's just submit it. Right. Hey, we got the 31 right. The cool part is maybe we would have been right with 30 as well. I'm not sure. So they've got some leeways on some, especially on the graphs, because sometimes you can't tell exactly what it is. Okay. And again, it'll record the points. And let me put it this way. Actually, if you'll just give it a try for the first two ones, I was almost just going to toss them away and say we got too much to do. Let's just. But I wanted you to have something to play with to get just started. So if you do any of the problems in here, if you just start it, I'll give you full credit. So these ones you can just play around with. I just want you getting comfortable with the program. It's mostly what I want you to do.
Will you see if you put in 30 for B, you'll still say it's right?
You got it. See, this is what I like. We're scientists. We're examining. We're seeing.
Oh.
It did. So see, yeah. Probably 29 might have worked. I don't know. Don't push her too far, right? But yeah, this is kind of the cool thing that you can do, and you've got the freedom to kind of do these things. And so this first part is really about notation, function notation, and that's about. I'll let you play with it. Again, it's if you don't remember some of these things, especially things dealing with domain and range, if it's important, we'll deal with it when we get to those sections. Occasionally we do talk about domain, but I don't like necessarily just going back into the algebra to review things because what I find is most people will struggle more with the algebra than they do with the calculus. So once we start going with the calculus, there's less problems. And this is a calculus we're able to do without a lot of algebra. If you took the 220, the science-based calculus, they do a lot of algebra, and that's usually the hardest part. It's not the calculus, it's all the funky algebra they have you doing. Okay, so again, you can work through these, and I want to give enough time so if people want to sign up, they can. do a little bit of review on the book, but it's, try a few of the problems. The content itself is not really critical. It's just kind of reading graphs and answering some questions. So do a little bit, and then we'll submit the assignment, and let's see what happens. I guess, where do we go next? Great. So I got 7 out of 46, which most times is not a really good thing, but hey, it's more than 0 out of 46, so I got full credit. This one at least, so it'll be fine. Then we go back to my assignments. Oh, it's a different view of it. So these I want to go through because this one, in fact, if you're only going to do more of one or the other, take your own time through 1.3. This is going to build up into the concept of slope, which is really what the derivative is, the rate of change. Okay, so this particular section is a helpful review. But I'm also going to show you something that is a different way of looking at the concept of slope. Okay? So calculate the slope m, if defined, of the straight line through the given pair of points. So we need to find the slope through these 2 points. I'm going to do it 3 different ways. 2 of the ways you've probably seen before, and 1 of the ways you probably haven't. And that's the way that might be more remembered. So what we're doing is we've got a graph, right? What's this point right here? 0, 0. And that's one of the points they gave us. And what's our other point?
1, 4.
1, 5. So how do we calculate, what's the concept of slope? How do we calculate the slope?
Rise over run.
Rise over run. So we want to see if we were to connect these 2 somewhat straight line, how far up did we go and how far over? Okay, so with this graph, if we had it nicely done, we could actually just count. We went from 0 all the way up to 5. So that was a rise of 5. And then we went from 0 here over to 1 here. So that looks like it must be 1. So we always write our slope as change in the y over the change in the x, the rise over the run. So 5 over 1, which is 5. So far, so good. Okay. There's a formula. Someone remember what that formula is?
Y equals mx plus b.
Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1.
So y equals mx plus b would be the equation of the line, and we get the slope, which is part of the equation. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or you could write it the other way around. If you learned it as y1 minus y2, that would be okay too. And again, what we do is the value of y2 minus the value of y1, value of x2 minus the value of x1. 5 minus 0 is 5. 1 minus 0 is 1. We get a slope of 5. Now you may have noticed that when I was putting these in place, I was touching it, because this is one of the most difficult things of me, is setting up a slope formula. Again, being dyslexic, sometimes I put the x's on top and the y's on the bottom, and sometimes I put the y2 first, but then I put the x1 first, and this has been the bane of my existence in mathematics. I found something in Vedic math where they do something just called, actually they can come up with the whole equation with something called vertically and crosswise. Now I'm just going to do the vertical part, which will give us a slope. So with the Vedic system, what they do is you write one point, let's see, that's 1, 5, right, above the other point. Now this is cool because you don't even need a formula. Does that look like 1, 5 and 0, 0? You're not going to mess this up because you just copied them down. Well, remember, this first is the x and the second is the y. And to find the slope, what we're doing is finding the change. Whenever to find the change of anything, what mathematics do we do to find change? Subtract. So we're just going to subtract one point from the other. So 0 minus 1, or 1 minus 0, 1. 5 minus 0. You take the x, tuck it underneath the y, and there's your slope. And for those of you who like formulas, you're going, well, that's just the same thing as this. But those of you who are dyslexic like me, this is like a lifesaver. I can now get the slope right. What kind of a math teacher can't get the slope right even, right? My job was in danger until I found this technique. So now I get it right. And again, the thing is, you get any 2 points, right? Let's see. Let's just check this one because I think we got a more complicated one, which might help. So we could just put in 5, or you could put in 5 over 1. And yeah, we got it right. Let's see, they give us, that's not, 0, 0 is not very much fun because it's too easy, right? Here we go. Watch this. I take one of the points, and it doesn't matter which one you put on top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter. It's personal choice. 3 minus 2, so notice you just write the point down. Underneath, write the other point. So far, so good. What do we do to get slope? Subtract. 3 minus 3? Negative 2. Okay, when I subtract a negative 1, what does that actually do? It makes it into an addition, so that's negative 2 plus 1. Negative 1. You take the x, tuck it underneath the y. So my slope is negative 1 over 0. Now what is that number? Is it undefined or is it 0? If you weren't sure, how would you find out? You plug it in the calculator and it'll give you an error which says, oh, that's the undefined one. So good. We cannot divide by 0. Actually, we can, but what it gives us is infinity. I like to think of this as infinity, so this is a vertical line, which is the steepest you can be, right? But in the book, they'll probably call it undefined. In fact, it says if the answer is undefined, enter undefined. Does that make sense? Sometimes it does, right? Well, let's try 0, because we get 3 tries, right? So we might try this. I think it's 0, and this will tell us, nope, that's not right. Oh, that's right. Dividing by 0, that's the undefined one. Okay. There it is. Okay, so I think that's if you've had problems with slope in the past, and if you haven't, that's fine. Just go ahead and use your formula, draw graphs, and calculate it that way. But if you can get the 2 points, just line the 2 points above, one above the other, and subtract the 2 points. Take the x, tuck it underneath the y, and you'll have your slope. Okay, no formula needed. And that's what I like about what they did in India. A lot of their mathematics was not formulas, but more locations and patterns. And they've got all these techniques where they're actually able to look at numbers and they use patterns to do, like they can teach you how to multiply 4-digit numbers, 3-digit numbers in your head and just get the answer like that. Okay, using these sort of patterns. Slopes, because this is what we're going to be dealing with. Slope A. What would you estimate that slope to be? 1. Okay, so rise of 1, run of 1. Okay, that makes sense. And is it positive or negative?
Positive.
How do you know it's positive?
It's
going up left to right. So always read your graphs left to right. So any upward going one's going to be positive. How about B? Rise of 1, run of 2. So we're going to have a 1/2. you could probably put in 0.5 and be just fine, but okay. And again, go through these various ones, give them a try, and the system will tell you whether you're right or wrong. That's what I like about the online thing, is it will tell you right or wrong. You can snap a picture at the end, and you've got things. You can also have a little notebook where you're writing things. You can just kind of go through it. I guess let's do one. Someone had mentioned the y equals mx plus b, which is the equation of the line. So we'll do one of these, and then I'm going to leave you with a technique to possibly get a free meal. Anyone want a free meal? I won't pay for it, but some of your friends will actually buy you a meal.
Sure.
Sure, okay. And you'll feel smart with it. Okay. So we've got this point. It's going through the point 2,4. And we have a slope of 2. How do we find the equation of the line?
Minus y1 equals n times x.
Two ways. There is a formula called the point slope formula. I never liked it because I can never remember it. But it's yeah, so we put the slope in, we put the point we got, and then we'll be able to get the equation. Y is 4, oops. The slope is 2. X is still x, but x1 is 2. And then to get it in the y equals mx plus b form, we distribute the 2. Okay, so we get 2x minus 4. So far, so good. And then what do we do with this minus 4? Add it to both sides. So we get our equations y equals 2x plus 0, which we don't have to write down. You could put plus 0 if you wanted to. See if that works. And I guess there's also stuff that comes up here, CalPad. Oops. I just submit the whole assignment. I don't know. Anyway, so we got it right. And then when you need help, they've got these things of read it. See what that does. Again, if my thing was working, I'd probably see some of the book. It takes you right. That's the other cool part. It takes you right to the place you need to be. Practice it. What does that do? Yeah, maybe I need. Oh, it opened it up over here. So it gives you a little tutorial, walks you through things. You can, some activity to work through. So you've got these options. And then with, I think the last one's like phone a friend or talk to a tutor. I don't know what that does, because I don't know if maybe you have to pay extra for a tutor or something. I don't know if it includes tutoring. Shall we find out? Open up that window, which doesn't do anything. Okay, so then they ask you to pay some more money over the $100. So anyway, just call me, right? Or send me an email anyway and say, I'm having problems with this one. Could you do a little video? And I'd be happy to do that. In fact, I've got my guest room. It's no longer, I can't have any guests because it's set up to make videos. So I work on videos all day long. And then I just got this one class. I got an online class, college math, but you send me an email. I'm working on videos anyway. I just bust out a 3-4 minute. I try to make them short, to the point as can be. So the more information you give me about what question you have, I can address it a little bit more. So I understand this part, but I don't understand what's going on here. I'll send it to you personalized. And I'll post it in Canvas so that anyone else, because if you had that question, I bet you 2, 3, 4, 50 other people have that question. So you'll start to see a part in Canvas where it's video answers to questions. Someone had a question? Yes?
Can we just plug that into the slope of the line?
This one?
No. Can we just plug that into y equals mx plus b?
Yeah, that's how I do it. I go y equals 2x plus b, and then I plug in the x for x, the y for y, because let's remember this, right? 2 times 2 plus b, right? So 4 equals 4 plus b, subtract 4, so we find out that b equals 0. So our equation is y equals 2x plus 0, which is what we got. So yes, those are the, thank you, I forgot about that. That's the other way, that's the way I would do it. Okay, so, and again, what we're gonna, some of the questions we're gonna come up with, this is what we're looking for. The 2 is our derivative. The slope is the derivative. And then sometimes they want the equation of the line through the derivative, so we'll be doing some of this later. So we'll take another chance and look at it a little more deeply. Okay, but how about 10 minutes? I will give you a trick that will make you feel mathematically powerful and maybe get you a free meal. Okay, and then I'll go commandeer a classroom if anyone who wants to stick around, so you can get signed on it. It's got computers. Okay. So this one, first of all, I need somebody with a calculator. Maybe 2 or 3 people to check me on this. And it could be a phone calculator, but anyone got a calculator out? Who will? Okay, good. So we got our officials here. They're going to check me. I'm going to do some 2-digit multiplication, and hopefully I'm going to maze you. But by the end, you're also going to be doing this. So here's the thing. This is how you get your free meal. You're going to watch this trick. You're going to see how I do it. You're going to practice it a bit. And then you're going to meet some friends of yours or parents or whoever, unsuspecting people, at happy hour. Because happy hour is cheaper, right? So there are people more generous when they got cheap appetizers or something. And then you're going to come up and say, I've got this, I'm a math genius now, and I could do this multiplication in my head. And if I do a couple of these, you guys are going to buy me the first round, the appetizer, whatever you ask for. I've had students that gone in to their neighbor that came back with 2 bottles of wine. I've had one student, he was great. He got 3 free meals from the same people. So he pulled this 3 times. And again, he followed my advice is, if you go to happy hour, come a little bit late so that your friends have already had a round or 2. And people who've had a round or 2 of drinks aren't as sharp. And it's amazing what you get them to do. So I stopped drinking a few years back because the world was much more happy when I did that. So it's up to you. I'm not telling you can drink or don't drink, but I just know that when people do drink, they're not as sharp mentally. I know I wasn't. So anyway, here it is. I'm going to multiply 2-digit numbers. I want somebody to give me a 2-digit number, and I get to choose the other one. And I'm going to multiply it in my head like that, and you're going to check me, and then we're going to see. So someone give me a 2-digit number.
75.
75. So I'm going to take 75. I'm going to multiply it by 75. Jeez, what is this? This is like 5,625. And see, I didn't even practice this, so it's coming back. Let's look this up. How was that? Yeah, but he memorized that, right? It must be. Okay, so 75 must be an easy number. Somebody give me something harder.
43.
43. I'm going to take 43. I'm going to multiply it by 47. And that's like 2021.
Oh, by 47. Yes, that's right.
See, I get to choose a second. That's where the trick is. You got to choose a second. Don't let them choose both numbers for you, because you won't be able to do the trick. And this is a trick, but it's based on the Vedic math from India, and it's based on patterns. So it's not something that just randomly works. There's a reason why this is working. So you got to watch what is the second number I'm choosing. So let's do it one more time. And I suggest only doing it twice, because otherwise,
I already see it though.
that's a problem. You guys,
By the first row, and you get the first number, and then the second row, you get the second number.
Then you add 1 next to the first column.
good. In fact, you've got the Vedic math. They call this by 1 more than before. So, and what else? So
7 times 7 is 56, and then 5
That's
times
41. But you add 1,
Times
so it's
five.
8 times 7.
see, this is, you guys are sharp. So that's why you got to have them have a drink. Okay. So let's do this. If I gave you the number 98, what would be the number that you choose to go with 98?
92.
Why 92?
Because the two digit numbers add up to 10.
Excellent. This only works when the two one-digit numbers add to 10. And this is the whole basis of Vedic math in India, is this completion to 10. And we lost that because it came to the West through where did it go? It came from India, went to the Arabs, who gave us algebra, and they taught that to Europe, and they brought these new numbers and this new way of doing math. But they lost the cultural part of it, which was in India, it was about mental exercising. And over in Asia, when they also, the School of Eight, they went to the East, and in Thailand they have numbers that came from India that are similar to this, but they kept the cultural part of it, the mindfulness part of it, and that's what this is. And so you're right, when I do this, I'm going to take 9 times 10, not 9 times 9, and 9 times 10 is 90. But I don't say 90. I fool my audience and think I say 9,000 because that's really what it's going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they think I'm just calculating this as I go. The last two digits are always just multiply the last two. So 8 times 12 is 16, and that checked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, check it. So I always get you to check it because you believe the calculator. You won't believe Little Crow all the time, which is good. You shouldn't believe because I do make mistakes. Sometimes I usually not on purpose. I make enough mistakes in my life just trying. But you'll see, okay, 5 times 5 is 25. 7 times 8 is 56. 4 times 4 is, 4 times 5 is 20. So that's the thing you have to remember to do. One more than before up here. The last two just multiply as 7 times 3 is 21. You guys picked it up pretty quick. So try to find your friends who maybe struggle with math a little bit, pull it on them and take advantage of them, get some free meals, some appetizers, or whatever you need to do. But the thing is mathematics is about patterns. This is our first pattern we're going to see. We'll get into the actual calculus on Thursday, and we'll start looking at the theory part of it. But we'll soon get to where we're just adding one or subtracting one and looking at patterns.
So 1.1, I can just do like a couple and then that's good. And then 1.3, do it all.
I would do all of 1.3. That's the one that's going to give you the best value of the whole thing. And I'll unplug myself here. Anyone who wants to follow me over, we'll go down to the end. And if you want to sign up on the computers, we'll get you set up.
So I thought
Oh!
So can I still sign up?
Of course. What's your name?
Thomas.
Let me just I'll take this down. Let me just.
Also, you said you have dyslexia. Do you mean dyscalculia?
When I got it, they call it dyslexia, but it's similar to dyslexia. There's a little bit differences. Mine is definitely spatial, so that's dyslexia is a flipping of sides, and it does, because I can calculate fine, but when I get my answers, I transpose numbers all the time. So that's more of a dyslexia. Dyscalculia is actual problems with the combining of the numbers, I think. Yeah.
I just took a development psychology course.
Oh, cool. Question.
Yeah, I'm just like letting you know. I'm not very good at calculus. I had to drop it my last semester, so
I feel like you can't do it.
try to get as much.